Good morning, one and all. Myself, Dr. Pallavi Kabde, Head Department of Public Administration, Dr. V.R. Ambedkar Open University. I welcome you all to this online classes of BA first year, first sem of Public Administration. As you all know, this course is Basics of Public Administration. Now, all of you have taken this subject, Public Administration, with some reason or the other. Maybe perhaps you might be interested in this subject because it's really very interesting subject and it's a very easy subject to understand. Why? Because public administration as subject, what we read, what we study, it's basically what we see, which is actually happening in our surroundings. Like every day, as citizens of this country, we enjoy certain facilities. We enjoy certain privileges. All these are because we are the citizens of the society. We are the citizens of the community. So for this reason, we need to understand the functioning of administration, or for that purpose, we can say the government. How does it function? So what are the different facilities being provided by the government? How the society is administered? All these aspects are studied in public administration. And this is your first semester. On the whole, you have 3 years you study public administration, that is 6 semesters. In due course of time, you study the basics of public administration, what actually public administration is, what is the theoretical basis of public administration, and you also study so what are the different dynamics of this public administration. You study the role of the governments, whether it is central government or the state government. What are the different functionaries which perform their functions, respective functions. And besides that, you really try to understand what actually the governance is, what are the different dimensions of the governance. In this, in the days to come, or you can say in the further step, that is in the final year, you come across the rural governance, urban governance, and also the e-governance. And besides this, you have 2 skill enhancement courses as well. That is rural livelihoods management and digital governance. These are the different courses which you come across, as the days pass by. Now, generally, we do have the classes, the physical classes, but as you know, we all have been experiencing pandemic since last couple of years. Now, it has entirely changed the way we learn, the way we teach, and the way we interact. So, with this brief general introduction, I would like to begin my session today. And according to your syllabus, the first chapter is meaning and importance of public administration. So what I would like to suggest to all the participants and all the students of BA first year, that is the first semester, you really concentrate, you really cater some of your time right from the beginning, so that it will not be a burden for you to study at the end. All the concepts, all the subjects, they are very simple, provided you cater some of your time, you try to take the book, you try to understand, you try to attend the classes, then read back what actually is there in the book. And especially public administration is such a subject, which has got a lot of importance, even in the competitive examinations. In case some of you might be preparing for civil services examination as well. So public administration is a very good optional, you can say popular optional. And, the syllabus is not, something different from that of, what we study. Whatever we study here in our graduation, then post-graduation, that comes, that becomes a part of the optional of the UPSC examination as well. So if you concentrate little during these classes, then it will be very easy for you to really understand the subject and prepare for the examination. And I'm sure it will really help you if you really take some of your time and try to understand. So now coming to the topic which we are going to discuss today is meaning and importance of public administration. Now, generally, what do you think? What is public administration? Now, what happens most of the times, in general, what we talk is administration is not good, or administration is very efficient, administration is little strict, and all such kind of things we keep talking. So, what, according to you, what do you think actually administration is? And the term public administration, basically, as you see, it is of two words, public and administration. Now, public administration, do you think is of recent origin? Are we talking about the governance? Are we talking about the welfare activities? All these aspects are of recent origin, is it? No. See, public administration, if we see as an aspect, as an activity, it is very old. Now, when has a civilization begun? The human being used to stay, earlier in the forest, in the very vague communities which did not have proper rules and regulations. They were not bound by any kind of regulations, we can say. Then what happened? As the days passed, the civilization grew. Human beings started to live in the groups. They have created some kind of norms, standards, rules, regulations in order to stabilize the community. And for this reason, now everybody cannot take the decisions on their own, isn't it? See, a community, there are many people, there's a lot of population, the number is very high. So all the people cannot take decisions on their own, isn't it? So there should be some people who are going to take decisions on the behalf of these people, right? So now who are these people? These people would be the representatives of the society on the whole. So earlier what used to happen when the human being was, staying in a forest or very, primitive societies, they would elect a person, rather you can say they would choose a person as a leader, and that leader would take care of these people, their well-being, and a stronger person. Initially, there were threats from the external world. Basically, it was about the wild animals and all. So regarding that, then what used to happen? A person who is very strong, he would become basically the leader. Now this leader would try to protect the people of the community. But later on, as the civilization improved, as the civilization became a little more complicated, there were different factors which came into existence. Now, and so the public administration functions also increased. Now, earlier, only the what we can say, saving the people, that is the protecting the people from the external factors, was the main activity we could say, and collection of the taxes or collection of the money. That were the basic functions of public administration. But as the days passed, as the civilization became more little complicated, and the functions how the government expectations of the people have increased, even the domain of the public administration has increased. Now here in this context, now you can relate what is the meaning of administration. Administration is nothing but it is basically a combination of two words, that is ad and ministry. You can just note down that is ad and ministry. It is a very important point which you really need to understand, which means to serve. You can also call it as to manage or to look after. So this term, and what is public? Public in general, we keep saying, and this is public place, this is public office, or you even call public property. Now, what do you mean by this public? In general, we call it as people's, it is a people's, we can call it. But more generally, when we talk about the discipline of public administration, public here denotes government. So public administration, it is a combination of two words, and there are few thinkers in public administration who have given some kind of definitions which are little important and which we need to really understand. So for that purpose, firstly, we would look after the definition given by John Waite. Now, what did he say? Administration, it is a determined action taken for a conscious purpose. Now here you have to understand there is a conscious purpose. That is, there is a particular goal. You have to get that, you have to achieve that particular goal. Now this goal, how can it be achieved? See, unless there are certain actions, you cannot achieve any goal, isn't it? You take for that purpose any kind of goal, whether you want to pass in the examination, isn't it? If you want to pass in the examination, what do? You have to study, okay? You have to give your time. You have to put your efforts. That is the action. And what is the goal? What is the purpose? To pass the examination. In the same way, administration also, it has got a particular goal, and for the achieving of that particular goal, there need to be the efforts being put for the conscious purpose. This is the definition given by John A. Witt. And another important thinker, Felix A. Negro, he defined administration. Now, what did he define? He said that administration is an organization and use of men and materials to accomplish a purpose. Now, in the previous definition also, we have seen that there is a purpose. That is, there is one goal. Now, in order to achieve that particular goal, now what you have to do? You have to, put the efforts of men. Now, who are going to put the efforts? Obviously, human beings. Obviously, people. Obviously, people like us. We all are part of, the community. So the people as well as the materials put together, for the accomplishment of the common purpose. All this combined together, it is nothing but administration according to the Felix Negro. Another important thinker, Herbert Simon, how he explains administration, he says that the activities of the groups cooperating to accomplish the common goals. So with this, all these definitions, there is certain common understanding. That is, administration, it is nothing but it is a goal-oriented activity. And there are group of people who are working for it, and working for it in the sense, what is it? It is nothing but a common purpose. Okay, I think you are able to understand the meaning of administration here. Now let us discuss, after discussing the meaning of the term administration, now let us try to understand the more deeper meaning of public administration, that is the scientific definitions given by the different administrative thinkers. Now, Woodrow Wilson is considered as father of public administration. Now, this is a very important, you can say, point or objective type question, which says that Woodrow Wilson is the father of public administration. If anybody asks you, who is the father of public administration, then you have to say Woodrow Wilson is the father of public administration, because he has contributed a lot to the development of the discipline of public administration. Now, he defined public administration as a detailed and systematic application of law, and every particular application of law is an act of public administration. Now, for example, can you imagine any person who is implementing the law? Private person. No, we cannot expect or we cannot imagine, because there are certain rules and regulations. The rules and regulations of the society are being implemented by the government. Every act, it is an act of government. Unless there is, legality, unless it is approved by the rules and regulations, it cannot be executed by anyone. So a detailed and systematic application of law, and every particular application of the law is an act of public administration. Another important administrative thinker we have is Luther Gulick. Now, Luther Gulick, he has explained public administration as that part of science of administration which has to do with the executive branch of the government. Now, executive branch of the government. Now, what do you mean by executive branch of the government? Now, in your previous, in your school or college, you must have studied the different branches of the government, that is the executive, legislature, and judiciary. Now, the executive is the implementing part of the government. So, whatever the executive branch of the government does, public administration is that, according to the Luther Gulick. Another important definition which we are going to discuss is given by Waldo. Now, what did Waldo say? The art and science of management which is applied to the affairs of the state. Now, is administration, is it an art? Yes, definitely it is an art. It is an art and science of management, and it is called as science. Why is it called as science? Because it has got certain principles. We will study the principles of organization in the due course of time. In that, there are certain principles which are to be applied. Now, these are the certain definitions which are given by the different thinkers. Now, in the examination point of view, now I think you have understood this part, and if they ask you, write the meaning and scope of public administration, then first you have to give the general introduction of public administration. Then you have to give few definitions. Two of the definitions is enough. You need not give many definitions. Then after studying, after analyzing the different definitions, here we can say that the first thing is public administration is concerned with application of law, isn't it? Now, anything is done, whatever is done according to the law, it is an act of public administration and enforcement of public policy. Now, the public policy, now they take the form of laws. Now, who enforces it? The government enforces. It is nothing but getting things done. So these are the basic broad aspects of the definition of public administration. Now let us see what is the scope of public administration. Now there are two aspects. The scope of public administration, it can be studied as an activity and also as a subject of study. Now in this regard, we can say that just now has spoken about the government, it has three branches. They are executive, legislature, and judiciary. Now, this is one point of view that the public administration is concerned only with these activities. That is, this is the narrower view we can say. Whereas there is a broader view of scope of public administration as well, wherein Luther Gulick, he supports that. What he says that public administration is concerned with policy formulation as well as implementation. Now, you cannot just separate policy formulation separately and policy implementation separately. Public administration takes care of not only public policy formulation but also implementation. So we can say that public administration is nothing but completely about the government. Now, another important certain features of public administration which are being explained by Negro are: public administration is nothing but a cooperative group effort of a public setting. Now, this is very important. Public, that is we're not talking about private, we are talking about the public setting. And it covers all the branches of the government. It is, executive, legislature, and judiciary as well as. And it plays a very vital role, a very important role in the formulation of the policy, public policy. And, the most important feature of public administration, we can say it is different from that of the private administration in many ways. So, in this scope of public administration, Luther Gulick, he has emphasized on the concept post-corp. Now, post-corp, what is post-corp? Post-corp is nothing but, it is an acronym. That is, it is a short form of the broader terms. Now, what are those terms? Now, we will see that. Now, P stands for planning, O stands for organization, S for staffing, D for direction, CO is for coordination, R is for reporting, and B is for the budgeting. So, these are the managerial tasks, you can say. That is, the works being done by the public administration. Now, it forms an important part of scope of public administration. Now, how do we understand the public administration? See, generally there are, different perspectives of understanding public administration. Now, the meaning of the public administration, it can be understood from the discipline point of view. It can be understood from the profession point of view, and how actually the public administration, the process takes place. We have to understand in that perspective also how it performs, how it acts as a branch of government, and as a branch of administration. All these, there are different perspectives which have been explained for you. Now let us briefly look after the analysis of public administration, how we can understand public administration basically. Now, if you look public administration as a profession, now whose profession it is? Now, are we talking about the profession of the people in general? No, here public administration, it is viewed as profession of the government officials and the civil servants whose main activity is to implement the laws and public policies. Now, suppose you have some work in the public office or any government office. Whom do you interact? Whom do you go and meet? You meet an officer who is sitting there. And who is this person? This person is appointed by the government. So, whatever, public policies which are implemented, in the interest of the people, that is the general people, all this, it is viewed as the profession of public administration. Now, we can say that public administration, generally it is, very one of the youngest subjects. So the profession of public administration also, we can say it is the youngest profession. Now, the passage of Pendleton Act of, 1983, it is considered as the beginning of the profession of public administrators in USA. Now, Lord Macaulay, he introduced the practice of, the professional public administration in the form of career, civil services in 1854 itself. Now, many of us, are very passionate of becoming civil servants, isn't it? Now, once you become a civil servant in the future, you practice public administration. Now, let us see public administration as a discipline. Now, public administration as a discipline, you can say it is one of the social sciences disciplines, isn't it? Now, basically what happens in our schools, we used to study social sciences, and physical sciences and natural sciences and all. Now, public administration, it is a part of social science discipline. Now, there are other social sciences also, isn't it? Now, what are they? There are different social sciences like you can say history, sociology, anthropology, political science, and all. All these are the part of social sciences. Now, the discipline of the public administration, it is basically studied either at the graduation level, undergraduation level, or the post-graduation level. And, there are different universities which are offering this course as a discipline. And, in some of the universities, political science department and public administration, both are offered as a single discipline. But there are few universities, which has a separate departments, and they offer it separately. Now, for example, in Central University, if you take Hyderabad Central University, there is a single department, that is public administration. It is studied as part of political science. But whereas universities like Osmania University or Ambedkar Open University or Kakatiya University, there are the universities, these are the universities which are offering public administration separately. Now, let us try to understand public administration as a process, like what actually happens during the process. Now, public administration, it is a process of implementing the laws. As I told you earlier, whatever the laws are being implemented, it is implemented by the public administration. That is, now who frames the laws? Who frames the policies? The legislature. Okay, the legislature, it frames the policies, and the executive part, they implement it. The public administration, they implement it. Now, Luther Gulick, what he said that there are different functions to be performed. Just now I spoke about the post-cop, that is planning, organizing, staffing, directing, coordinating, reporting, and budgeting. Now, these are the functions of the executives, which may be referred as the process of public administration. Now, planning. What is planning? Anything you do, you plan in advance, you prepare it for the advance. Now, for example, you plan for, your day, for your routine work, you plan for your career, you plan for your examinations, you plan for your profession. So planning is very important for everyone, irrespective of the, person or gender or profession, whatever it is. Planning is very important. In the same way, for administration as well, planning is very important. Then organization is basically a structure wherein all the policies are framed and implemented. Staffing is very important, as I told you earlier, because staffing is nothing but the people who are working for it. Now, can you imagine any organization working without the people? No, we cannot imagine an organization working without the people, because they are the main, resources. Manpower is very important for any organization. Then comes, direction. Direction is very important for any organization to work, because without any proper direction, there will be, you cannot carry forward whatever the goals you want to achieve. You cannot achieve it without any proper layout or proper direction. Then, all this together, they really, and another important part is budgeting. See, finances is very important for any organization. Without the finances, no organization can really work. All these are important, components, we can say, important functions, we can say. We can say, it is a part of the process, how actually takes place, public administration. Now, after discussing the post-CARP, let us see how public administration, it functions, as a branch of government. Now, initially I told you, public administration, basically, it is considered as something very largely related to the executive branch, because in India, executive branch generally consists of, Council of Ministers and civil services. Now, here, Council of Ministers, they are the political executive, okay? They frame the policies, policy making takes place in the parliament, isn't it? Now, who implements it? The civil servants implement it. They form the permanent executive. So we can call them as civil servants as the permanent executives. Now, we can't say that, generally that public administration is exclusively concerned with the executive branch alone. But most of the times what happens, the scope, it expands as well, to the other branches of public administration as well. Now, public administration, how can we understand public administration as a branch of administration? Now, we can say that it is completely related to the people. It is a part of the broader process of administration. And, it deals with the government activities. So we can, and we will discuss about this in a little further also, how it is different from that of the private administration, because administration in general, we have public administration, private administration and all. So how public administration is different from that of the private administration, we are going to discuss now. Now, this is very important to really understand what makes public administration different from that of the private administration. Now, public administration, as you all know, what does it work for? How does it work? It works for people, isn't it? We all know that public administration, the government works for the welfare of the people, for the public larger interest. Now, how does for what purpose does this private administration exist? Private administration, it works for profit, isn't it? Now, suppose if any private administration, basically, do you see any administration which works without profits? Suppose it is running in losses for a very long period. Does it work? Does it function? No, it doesn't function. So this is the basic, difference between the public administration and private administration. And besides that, the scope also varies from that of the public administration as well as the private administration. The scope of public administration is wider. It is larger. It is, a more spread. It is applicable to all the people in general. Whereas private administration is little narrower, we can say, or it might not be applicable to all the people because we do have choices, isn't it? Now, if suppose you want to choose any of the phone, you have a lot of choices, like which phone you're going to buy or use, or in the same way what different services are being provided by the private. So you choose, so there are restrictions, there are certain limitations. Different people, they use the different company services and all, but there are certain facilities being provided by the people which is applicable for all the people, isn't it? Now, electricity, the defense and all these are applicable for all the citizens of the country, irrespective of the state or irrespective of the region, irrespective of the ideologies and all. There are certain facilities, services being enjoyed by the citizens, which are being provided by the government. And the another important feature, we can say, or the difference between public administration and private administration, we can say that whatever the functions are being performed, they're applicable to all the people, uniformly, irrespective of, caste, class, or, gender, whatever it is. It is same, the treatment is same to all the people. Whereas when you talk about the private administration, these people, what they do, they give preferences to the different people. What they do is, depending upon their acquaintances, depending upon their, we say, acquaintance, suppose if they have the people of their own, they might recruit them. But this is not possible in the public administration because there is a certain process. You cannot have certain preferences. You have to follow certain rules and regulations, and these are applicable for all the people. And in private administration, these rules might change from people to people. It all depends upon that. So not only this, political control is there in the public administration, whereas in the private, you don't have this political control always, but they have to follow certain rules and regulations. They have to take the licenses and all these are there. But basically, overall, it functions independently. And here in public administration, the main focal point or the main, the people whom we are working for is the citizens. Whereas in the private administration, they are consumers, or, they pay for the services and they take the services from the private administration. So these are the different differences in, among the public administration and private administration. And this is one of the important questions as well for your short answers in your examination point of view also. Now, after discussing, the meaning of public administration, the scope of public administration, and, what are the differences between public administration and private administration. Now, let us see what is the importance of public administration. Now, can you imagine, can we survive without public administration or the government? Now, this is a debatable, as because public administration, we can say that right from the civilization began, human beings are, they are born by certain norms, by certain rules and regulations. For, why? Because the society has to be stabilized in order to avoid certain conflicts, to avoid certain issues. There should be a proper governance should be there at the society. And all these rules and regulations are being framed by the government. And, it's really difficult to think about, the society without a proper norms or certain standards. So what is the importance of public administration is, as I told you, basically stabilizing. It is a stabilizing force for any society. Now, many times you might have witnessed certain issues arise, or there could be threat from the external forces as well, from the external, not only the internal disturbances, but external forces also, like from other countries. We may face a threat. Then who is going to, protect the citizens? It is nothing but the government, that is the public administration, plays a very vital role. And, it is, the concept is totally, there are different dimensions which we'll discuss in the future classes as well. The functions of public administration, how we are affected, how our lives, they're interconnected with the administration of the government and all. So we can say that at present, see, we slowly the functions of the government has been changing, the expectations of the people are changing. It is a process. But basically, right now, we cannot imagine a society without the role of the public administration, because whatever the welfare activities are being taken by the government, they're implemented by the public administration, that is the civil servants. Now, when we generally talk, how are these implemented? These are implemented by the civil servants. That's why there is a lot of craziness, we can say, or passion, and people are very passionate of becoming civil servants. Why? Because they have got the authority, they have got the power. They are the focal points for the implementation of the whatever the government programs that take place. All these are implemented by the civil servants. Now, especially, when we talk about in the changing times, globalization, when we talk about globalization, there are a lot of changes have been taking place. Now, what are the different changes being taking place? And how does it affect in public administration, and how it is affecting the government policies and the government programs? All these, we will study in the coming time, how it has really affected the functioning of the government. And even in India, when you see from 1991, there is a lot of changes, the privatization of the public sector has been taking place. That is the LPG. You must have heard about LPG. That is a liberalization, privatization, and globalization. It has played a very vital role. No? It has been playing a very important role even in the functioning of the public administration. Now, most of the sectors which were the monopolies of the government, now they have been privatized, isn't it? Now you must be reading in the newspapers, you must be watching the news, how the public sector have been privatization, they're getting privatized. So what are the different reasons for it? All this, we will study in detail in the coming days. Now, what is the importance of public administration, especially in the developing countries? Now, especially in the country like India, how does it matter? It really matters, because whatever the welfare schemes, whatever the welfare programs, they are implemented by the government, and it is a responsibility of the government to see that all the programs, all the schemes, they are implemented at the grassroots level. That is very important, because government has been spending large amount. You must have seen in the budget also, the large amount is being spent on the welfare programs, welfare schemes, and it should be efficiently and effectively being implemented. And that is the responsibility of the government, and especially in the developing countries, there are a lot of challenges. So the public administration has to be it has to play a very vital role, you can say proactive role, to see that whatever the aspirations of the people, what are the needs of the people, what are the, the people, they elect the government with certain aspirations, they have to be fulfilled, isn't it? Otherwise, the basic purpose of elections, the basic purpose of electing the government is a failure. So in this context, we can say that public administration, it plays a very important role in the countries, especially developing countries like India. So with this, we have completed our the first chapter, that is the meaning, scope, and importance of public administration. And now we will move on to our second topic, which we will briefly discuss today, and we will continue it for in the next class as well. So the second topic is state, society, and public administration. Now, it is very interesting to see the dynamics of state, society, and public administration, because public administration, it functions, it implements in a state, and we all are part of the society. So what is, what actually is a state, what actually is the society, and what is public administration? So how are they interrelated? So is there any relationship between this? If there is a relationship, so what is the relationship between these three aspects? So let us briefly see about that. Now, what is a state? Now, basically, we say India is a union of states, isn't it? Now, it doesn't mean now here in this concept of when we talk about public administration or political science, the state doesn't mean the geographical demarcations of any country, but basically a state is nothing but it is an association of the people. So prior talking to this about state, let us talk about society. So society, what is society? We all live in a society, isn't it? A society, there are certain norms, there are certain regulations which prevails in a society. So what actually is a society? Society, it is nothing but an association of the people. That is, group of people living together, and they have certain rules, regulations. Now, why rules and regulations are needed in a society? Can't we live just like that? No. Why? Because they, in order to maintain certain social order and peaceful coexistence of individuals. Now, in a society, there are different communities, isn't it? There are different castes, there are different classes, there are different linguistic people speaking different languages, people belonging to the different sects, and all these people, they live together in a society. Now, when people live together, then definitely certain views might be, similar, and they may disagree. So when there is a disagreement between the ideas, the ideologies differ. And in this process, what happens? There is a scope for some kind of conflicts that take place. Now, in order to maintain the peace and order in the society, in order to maintain the social order, the society needs certain, rules and regulations. So for this purpose, what happens? They have to live together, communicating with each other, having social control and social participation, and the mutual support with each other is really important for when we live in the society. Now, we spoke about society. Now, what is state? Now, state is nothing but basically you must have studied in your social sciences as well. Now, there are basically 4 important elements of a state, we can say. That is, the people or the citizens, the territory, the government, and the sovereignty. You cannot call it a geographical area, a state, without these 4 basic elements, which are very important. And they are interdependent as well. Now, to administer the state, the government needs few, skilled people, isn't it? The efficient people who are able to assist the people's, representatives, in formulating and implementing the policies which are being framed. So for this purpose, the supreme power lies with the state, and public administration is directly and indirectly it is related with the all these processes, and you can say it is an integral part of the state. Now, already we have discussed about public administration, what is the meaning of public administration, what are the important components of public administration, and all. So the another important aspect of public administration which we talk is bureaucracy. Now, what is bureaucracy? In bureaucracy, we'll discuss it, in the further chapters in a very detailed manner. But to explain in simple, it is nothing but the body of civil servants who regulate, who implements the policies and who facilitates whatever the programs are being framed by the government. So these, the state, society, and public administration, these are the different components, but interrelated components for the effective functioning of the public administration. Now, especially, in the developing countries like India, the state, what does it do? It intervenes in, different aspects of the social life. Now, when we talk about the democratic and, welfare states, like, public administration definitely has to take certain steps to, face the challenges. There are several issues, several problems, several challenges in the countries like India, which has faced the colonial rule for a long period, isn't it? It could be the illiteracy rate, or, the discrimination in the society, or, the economic backwardness, whatever it could be, the problems or the challenges, in order to, bring out, in order to bring out the equality in the society, or, to remove this you can say, side effects of these societies, public administration definitely plays a very vital role, we can say. So for understanding these perspectives as well, there are different perspectives, to understand the differences, the interrelationship between the state, society, and public administration. Excuse me. So the basic perspective is the liberal perspective. So what does it say? Basically, the Western liberal approach, what it says, state is nothing but it is a neutral instrument in the process of development. See, development is inevitable, isn't it? And development is very important for any state, or for that matter, any community or any country or any nation. Development is very important. So who undertakes this development process? State. State is nothing but it is an instrument. It's a neutral that important. It is a very important point to be noted. That is neutral instrument in the process of development. Now, when we talk about the state generally, the state is to confine itself to the key important points. That is three important points. That is the defense of the individuals from any threats that could be internal or the external. Then enforcement of the contracts, and defense of the country from the external threats. So basically, this perspective, that is the liberal perspective of the state, it understands the role of the state as three important factors. That is the defense of the individuals from the internal conflicts, and enforcement of the contracts, and from the threat from the external forces. So these are the three important key factors from the liberal perspective. And there are different thinkers who have explained. Now, for example, you must have heard about the social thinker Hobbes. Now, what he said, human beings, they give up their rights through a mutual agreement with each other to a third entity that is called as state, isn't it? Now we are accepting the rules and regulations being provided by the state, implemented by the state. Now, suppose what happens if you are not going to accept it? We cannot imagine, because it will be against the rule or against the law. Then proper action will be taken upon a person who doesn't abide by the rules and regulations of the society, isn't it? That means we have made a contract with the state. Then John Locke also, what he says that government, the day the government loses the trust of the people, new government has to be formed. So all these, besides that, there are different thinkers like James Mill, Jemmy Bentham, and James Mill, who has proposed a theory of utilitarianism also. What they say is the greatest good for the greatest number. They advocated that under the utility concept, the state performs, free education, old age insurance, that is social security, the minimum wages, all these have to be provided. So this is the liberal perspective of the state. So with this, I'm going to close this session today. Let us see, are there any questions in the chat box? Let me just check. Ma'am, why is it called as art? Okay. See, what I believe is while you perform the functions, isn't it? Now, when you approach a government official, now if he's following rules and regulations very strictly, probably you have gone for some certain kind of, certificate you want. But according to the rules, you're not eligible. Otherwise, you take a pension or any other, the social security scheme which is being provided by the government. The government officials, they should implement according to the rules and regulations. But sometimes they have to keep, the aspirations of the people in the mind as well. Probably the person might not be eligible for the particular scheme which he has approached the government or the government official. But, the government official has to, think in a more liberal way, or you can say that, from the citizen's perspective as well. And, it is an art, isn't it? It's not very easy for everybody. This is what I believe, because all the people, who come to the government officials for availing different schemes, they are, below poverty line, they are facing certain problems, issues. So they can be solved in some way or the other way. or they can be showed some other way, or they can be guided in a way to adopt certain schemes which can be helpful to them, and that can be done by public officials only. So administration is nothing but it's an art as well. So let us see if there are any other questions. Will you provide the PDF of this class? See, the class is, we take the classes basing on the syllabus. It is there in your textbooks, which you have probably must have received, isn't it? The textbooks which you have received from the university, the syllabus, whatever is there, we are teaching you from that. And, whatever the matter is there, whatever we are explaining here in the classroom, you can just follow your textbook. And even besides that, if you want to read some other books as well, we have got a very good library at university, Ambedkar Open University, which is in Jubilee Hills. You can visit the library. There you have got a very good collection, good collection of books of public administration. You can just come and visit, and you can note down the notes or whatever if you really are interested to know more about the subject. How can we make notes of PA, public administration? Yes. See, the basic, what I feel is a basic feature of any student is whenever you listen to classroom, I don't know how many of you are holding a pen and book. If you have, just show me how many of you are holding, because very good. Padma, Sunita, Ravali and all. I'm very happy to see that. See, any student, any learner, in whatever position you are. Yes, very good, Sunita. And most of you are holding a book and pen. It's very important. See, whenever we write down, it just enters our mind, And once during examination, just if you go through, then it will be very easy for you to see the notes. Even myself, when I was studying, I used to always maintain a book, and you'll be astonished to know I have those books even today. That is, we'll carry it throughout our career. So making notes is very important. So how do you make it? See, when you read a paragraph, you read a page, you really understand certain concept, isn't it? That concept, you can write down in your own words so that it will be very easy for you to read it back when you refer it for your examination and all. So with this, I think all of you should make a habit of noting down the points. Otherwise, you can just underline with a pencil in your textbook. That is also, it's okay. In case if you can't make a note separately, you can just, underline important points in the textbook. Excuse me. If you read the material provided by university, is it sufficient, or we need the references like test papers available outside? See, I don't recommend test papers because, textbooks are prepared, they are made by, all the very reputed professors from the different universities. So these books are very important books, and they are very popular for all the competitive examination aspirants, they want Ambedkar Open University books because they are referred from the different textbooks, and this material has been prepared. So I don't recommend the test papers, but if you're really interested in the subject, then what you can do is you can come to our library, as I told you. In case if you are able to buy, then you can just buy the books as well. Otherwise, you can just come to our library. Then you can just refer the books which are available here. Then you will have no problem for that. So any other questions we have? Can we get a recorded class? Yes. See, I think this is live on YouTube as well. Okay. So, and it will be hosted on our website as well, the class. And besides this, I would like to inform you all that you go to the YouTube. Okay. So you have the Bravo channel. In that Bravo channel, you have n number of lessons, by the different experts from the different universities whom we have invited from time to time on the different topics. So even you can just go through that YouTube channel also. There you will find different lessons on different topics. Psychology class was also scheduled at the same time at 10 a.m. How about that, ma'am? Okay, I will inform this to our higher officials about this. Otherwise, in case you have missed class, either public administration or psychology, for now you can just, you can just go through this recorded. Okay. See, I think now we are going to end this class because, we are running out of time. So basically, see, we have discussed about meaning of public administration. We have discussed about, the different definitions. We have seen what are the different differences between public administration and the private administration, and how the process of public administration takes place. And besides this, we have started the second chapter as well. But we can, as we are running out of time, tomorrow it will be continued. So with this, if you have any doubts, you can just you can go through this video again, or you can ask in the next class. So with this, I think we are going to close this session. Continue the classes through online. Yes, see, definitely your the classes will be continued online because because of the pandemic and all. We are facing this issue. So what you do is you try to attend the classes as all the classes, not only public administration, different classes are being provided, and at the same time you go to the YouTube and somebody is sharing the screen. Please take care of that. Yes. So I'm also looking forward to see you all in the coming days as well. Different papers, in first year, second year, final year. It is a long journey to go together. So I wish you all a very good luck and best wishes for all of you. With this, I'm closing this session here. So thank you one and all.